Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening.
Jake maneuvered the controls, his brow furrowed in concentration as the spacecraft descended through the dense clouds of Verena. Beside him, his co-pilot and old Academy friend, Marcus, checked the gauges. Altitude looks good, speed's under control. We're clear for landing, Jake, Marcus announced, his voice steady despite the turbulence. Jake nodded, peering through the viewport as the lush, green canopy of Verena came into view. "Ever think we'd end up somewhere like this?" he asked, his tone light, trying to ease the tension. Marcus laughed. "Beats the simulations, doesn't it? Just hope the real thing is as forgiving as the trainers." The spacecraft jolted as they passed through the last of the atmospheric interference. Jake adjusted the throttle, easing the craft onto a flat expanse beside a winding river, its waters glittering under the alien sun. "Touchdown successful. Welcome to Verena," Jake declared, flipping the engine cutoff switch. The cabin was filled with the hum of systems winding down. "Let's hope the welcome committee is friendly," Marcus replied as he unstrapped from his seat. Jake grabbed his digital recorder and camera. "Let's set up camp. I'll start with the perimeter sensors." They exited the spacecraft, stepping onto the soft, verdant soil of Verena. The air was thick with the scent of unknown flowers, and the chorus of alien wildlife resonated around them. Marcus began unloading equipment while Jake surveyed the area with a wary eye. As Jake planted the last sensor, a rustle from the nearby bushes caught his attention. He paused, signaling for Marcus to be quiet. They watched as a small, colorful creature, resembling a cross between a bird and a lizard, emerged, tilting its head curiously at them. "Seems like we're not the only ones interested in making new friends," Marcus whispered, reaching slowly for his camera. Jake chuckled softly, capturing the creature's image. "Verena's already throwing surprises our way. Let's document everything. This mission is about understanding, not conquering." They spent the next few hours setting up their base camp. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Jake reviewed the footage and notes they had collected. "Look at this, Marcus," Jake said, pointing at a series of images showing diverse plant life. "This flora is unlike anything we've cataloged before. We might have discovered several new species today alone." Marcus peered over his shoulder. "This place could keep us busy for years. Think of the medical or agricultural applications. We need to tread carefully, though. We're not just explorers. We're guests here." As darkness enveloped their camp, the soft glow of their equipment cast eerie shadows among the trees. Jake felt a thrilling mix of anticipation and unease. "Tomorrow, we'll start with the northern sector. Keep to the plan, stay alert, and keep recording everything," he instructed, his mind racing with the possibilities of what lay ahead. Marcus nodded, securing the last of the equipment. "It's an alien world, Jake. Who knows what the morning will reveal?" In the quiet of an alien night, under a sky teeming with unfamiliar stars, Jake felt a surge of excitement. Verena was a mystery, and he was here at the threshold, ready to unravel its secrets. As he settled into his makeshift bed, the thought of the coming days filled him with a sense of purpose. This was the adventure he had always dreamed of. The morning sun filtered through the dense canopy of Verena, casting dappled shadows on Jake and Marcus as they prepared for their day's exploration. "Did you hear that last night?" Marcus asked while securing his pack. "Sounded like nothing I've ever heard before." Jake nodded, adjusting his own gear. "Yeah, the wildlife here doesn't exactly stick to the chorus we're used to back home. Keep your recorder handy. Who knows what we might find today." The two men set out towards the northern sector, their boots sinking slightly into the moist soil. The forest around them teemed with life. Strange calls and vividly colored plants greeted them at every turn. "Check this out." Jake pointed towards a cluster of luminescent plants. Their leaves shimmered with an internal light, even under the bright daylight. Marcus knelt beside them, his scanner in hand. "The readings are off the charts. These could be bioluminescent due to some sort of biochemical process we've never seen." "I'm getting samples." As Marcus carefully collected the samples, Jake surveyed their surroundings with cautious eyes. The beauty of Verena was enchanting, but he remained aware of the unknowns that lurked within. Suddenly, a rustle from the thick underbrush to their right caught their attention. Jake motioned for silence, his hand going to the blaster at his belt. The two men watched as a figure emerged, significantly taller and more imposing than any human. The figure stood still, observing them. It was Zara, an alien with striking features and an athletic build. Her skin a deep shade of blue that seemed to ripple with muscle under a lightweight armor. "Human?" she asked, her voice carrying a curious tone, devoid of aggression. Jake lowered his hand slowly, showing he meant no threat. "Yes, we come in peace. We're explorers." Zara tilted her head, her gaze flickering between Jake and Marcus. "Explorers, not conquerors?" "Exactly," Marcus chimed in, stepping forward with a friendly smile. "We're here to learn, not to take or fight." Zara's posture relaxed slightly, her intense eyes softening. "I am Zara. This is my territory. Your equipment, it is strange. We use it to learn about your world. To study, not to harm," Jake explained, gesturing to their gear. Zara stepped closer, her interest evident. "You learn of plants?" She gestured to Marcus's collection. "Yes, and animals, the environment, everything. We share knowledge with our people who can't be here," Marcus replied, showing her the digital display with the data they had collected. Zara looked at the screen, her brow furrowing. "Show me more." For the next few hours, Jake and Marcus walked with Zara through the forest. They shared their methods of research, showing her how they collected data, took photographs, and recorded sounds. "This is how we ensure that we remember everything correctly," Jake said, handing Zara a pair of headphones to listen to a recording of the nocturnal wildlife from the previous night. Zara listened intently, a smile breaking across her face. "It is like having the forest speak in my ear." "Yeah, it's pretty neat, isn't it?" Marcus laughed, pleased with her reaction. As they demonstrated more of their equipment, Zara began to open up about her own people's ways of understanding the natural world. Her descriptions of Verina's ecosystems were detailed and showed a deep connection to her home. The sun was beginning to set when Zara stopped by a large tree, placing her hand on its trunk. "We should return you to your camp. It is not safe at night. Will we see you again?" Jake asked, genuinely hoping the answer would be yes. Zara nodded, her gaze lingering on Jake a moment longer than necessary. "Yes, I will see you again, human Jake." As they walked back to the camp in the fading light, Marcus nudged Jake. "Think we made a new friend?" "Seems like it," Jake replied, looking over his shoulder at the retreating figure of Zara. "And I have a feeling she'll be full of surprises." The next morning, Jake and Marcus, energized by their interaction with Zara, were eager to delve deeper into Verina's secrets. They equipped themselves with additional recording devices, hopeful for another encounter. "So, do you think Zara will show up again today?" Marcus asked as he adjusted his pack. "I'm counting on it," Jake replied, scanning the lush landscape. "She seemed really interested in what we were doing. I bet she's got her eye on us right now." They ventured towards a different part of the forest, rich with towering trees and thick underbrush. The air was humid and filled with the sounds of unseen creatures. Jake paused, noticing a pattern in the foliage that seemed subtly disturbed. "Look here, Marcus. Tracks. And fresh," Jake pointed out, kneeling down. "I think we might have our guide sooner than expected." Marcus crouched beside him, examining the tracks. Definitely humanoid. Could be Zara, or someone from her tribe. They followed the tracks, which led them through increasingly dense vegetation. Suddenly, a figure darted between the trees ahead. Jake and Marcus picked up their pace, their curiosity driving them forward. As they rounded a thick grove, Zara stepped into view, a slight smirk playing on her lips. "You follow well, humans." "We're quick learners," Jake responded, smiling back. "What brings you out here today?" Zara's eyes sparkled with mischief. "I am curious to see how well you adapt to my world. Consider this a friendly challenge." "A challenge, huh?" Marcus chuckled. "You're on." For the next few hours, Zara led them on a brisk chase through various parts of the forest. She would speed ahead, disappearing from sight only to reappear moments later from a completely different direction. Jake and Marcus struggled to keep up, but they were determined. They used every tool at their disposal, recording the chase, noting the flora and fauna they encountered, and gradually adapting to the fast-paced Zara set. Keeping up, humans? Zara called out from ahead, her voice laced with amusement. Just give us a chance to warm up. Marcus yelled back, laughter in his voice despite the exertion. The chase slowed as they reached a clearing. Zara stood in the center, her chest heaving slightly from the run. Not bad for newcomers, she conceded. Jake, catching his breath, asked, "So, was this just for fun? Or is there a lesson in all of this?" Zara walked over, her expression serious. "You need to understand the land, move with it, not against it. Like you blend with your environment on Earth. You must learn to do so here." "Point taken," Jake said, nodding appreciatively. As the sun began to set, Zara invited them to sit by a small pond. "Here is good for talking. Tell me more about why you came." Marcus and Jake shared their mission's goals, emphasizing their hope to build a bridge of knowledge and understanding between their worlds. Zara listened intently, her gaze occasionally drifting to the skies as if measuring their words against the stars. "What about you, Zara?" Marcus asked. "What's important to you about this place?" Zara's voice softened. "Virina is home. Every plant, every creature is part of my tribe's history. We protect it as we protect our own." As they talked, the alien night enveloped them, the stars overhead a brilliant tapestry. Jake felt a profound sense of connection, not just to Zara, but to the vibrant world around them. "We should head back," Jake finally said, reluctant to end the night. Zara stood, stretching her limbs. "I will escort you back to your camp." The walk back was quiet, reflective. When they reached the camp, Zara stopped, her silhouette framed by the moonlight. "I will see you tomorrow," she asked, a hint of eagerness in her tone. "Absolutely," Jake confirmed, feeling a familiar thrill of anticipation. "We'll be here." Zara nodded and disappeared into the night, leaving Jake and Marcus to ponder the day's adventures. They had not only been challenged but had gained a deeper understanding of Virina and the delicate balance it required. "This place," Marcus said, looking around, "it's going to change us, isn't it?" Jake smiled, his eyes on the path Zara had taken. "I think it already has." As the first light of dawn broke through the trees, Jake and Marcus were already up, preparing for another day on Virina. Their discussions from the previous evening had ignited a deeper curiosity about their alien host. "Think she'll take us deeper into the forest today?" Marcus asked, adjusting his digital recorder. "I hope so," Jake replied. "Every day with Zara teaches us something new. And I think she's starting to trust us more." No sooner had he spoken than Zara appeared at the edge of their camp, a quiet smile on her face. "Ready for more lessons, humans?" "Always," Marcus grinned, grabbing his backpack. Zara led them deeper into the forest than they had gone before. The terrain became rougher, with dense undergrowth and towering trees that blocked much of the sunlight. "Today, you learn to move quietly, to listen," Zara instructed, her voice barely a whisper. Jake nodded, focusing on stepping lightly. Zara demonstrated how to walk by placing her feet in a way that minimized noise and disturbance. Marcus followed suit, occasionally looking to Zara for approval. As they practiced, Zara paused and pointed to a tree where a small creature resembling a squirrel but with vibrant plumage perched, watching them curiously. "You see? It does not flee. You are part of the forest now, not intruders." "That's incredible," Marcus whispered, his eyes wide as he observed the creature. They continued, and Zara started to explain more about her tribe's philosophy of coexistence with nature. "We take only what we need, and we give back. We are keepers, not owners." "That's a philosophy worth sharing," Jake said thoughtfully, comparing it mentally to Earth's environmental challenges. They reached a river, its waters clear and flowing swiftly. Zara bent down, touching the water lightly with her hand. "Water is life. We respect it as it sustains us." Marcus took samples of the water, testing its properties. "It's pure, almost perfectly balanced. Do you use any technology to keep it this way?" Zara shook her head. "The forest balances itself. If we live correctly, there is no need for such things." As they sat by the river, Jake took the opportunity to delve deeper. "Zara, you know so much about living with nature. How did you learn all this? My father was a leader, she explained. He taught me from a young age the importance of understanding our environment. Now, I pass this knowledge to you. I wish we could share this understanding with everyone on Earth, Jake mused, thinking about the environmental issues back home. Maybe that's why you're here, Zara said, looking between Jake and Marcus. To learn, and then to teach. They spent the rest of the day by the river, discussing various aspects of Virenan and Earth cultures. Jake and Marcus shared stories of Earth's natural wonders and the ongoing efforts to preserve them. As the day turned to evening, they prepared to head back to camp. Thank you, Zara, for sharing so much with us, Marcus said genuinely. It's been an enlightening day. Zara nodded, a hint of sadness in her eyes. It is good to share. But remember, not all are so willing to learn or change. We'll remember, Jake assured her, and we'll do our best to share what we've learned here. They walked back in thoughtful silence, each man processing the day's lessons. As they reached the camp, Zara stopped, her gaze lingering on the fading light filtering through the trees. I will see you tomorrow, she said softly, then turned and disappeared into the growing darkness. Back at the camp, Jake and Marcus sat beside their equipment, reviewing the day's recordings. We've got a lot to take back with us, Jake said, looking over at Marcus. Yeah, not just samples and data, but a new way of seeing things, Marcus replied. This mission, it's more than I ever expected. As the night settled in, they discussed plans for the following days, eager to learn as much as they could, not just about Verena, but from it. The journey was no longer just about exploration. It was about connection, understanding, and hopefully transformation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with streaks of orange and purple, Jake and Marcus prepared for a unique venture. A night exploration, guided by Zara. The plan was to observe Verena's nocturnal wildlife, a prospect both thrilling and daunting. Night vision gear all set? Jake asked, checking the settings on his camera. Check. And I've got the audio recorders ready too, Marcus replied, handing Jake an earpiece. If tonight's anything like the last few days, we're in for a treat. They met Zara at the edge of the camp, who greeted them with a nod. Night brings different life to the forest. Are you ready to see Verena's hidden side? Lead the way, Marcus said, enthusiasm evident in his voice. The trio ventured into the darkening forest, their path illuminated only by the soft glow of bioluminescent plants and the beams from their headlamps. Zara moved with ease, her eyes adjusting quickly to the darkness. Turn off your lights, she instructed after a while. Trust your other senses. Reluctantly, Jake and Marcus switched off their lamps. After a few moments of near blindness, their eyes adapted, and they began to make out shapes in the darkness. Listen, Zara whispered. The night was alive with sounds, chirps, rustles, the distant call of some larger beast. Zara led them stealthily towards a clearing where they could observe without disturbing the wildlife. As they settled down, a group of creatures resembling large, winged cats glided from tree to tree. Jake whispered, Are they hunting? Yes, Zara replied. They use the night to find food. Quiet, efficient. Marcus captured the scene on his camera, the infrared feature revealing the creatures in incredible detail. This is amazing, Jake murmured, watching a creature snatch a small rodent-like animal from the ground. They spent several hours in the clearing, Zara pointing out various species and explaining their roles in the Virenan ecosystem. Jake and Marcus recorded everything, knowing that the footage and audio would be invaluable. As they prepared to leave the clearing, Zara paused, tilting her head. There is a place nearby, a favorite of mine. Would you like to see it? Curiosity piqued, Jake and Marcus nodded eagerly. Zara led them to a grove where the trees were taller and the air felt ancient. In the center of the grove was a pool, its waters still and reflecting the night sky. The beauty of the scene was breathtaking. Verena shows us that life thrives in all conditions, Zara said, her voice reverent. Night, day, it matters not. They sat by the pool, and Zara shared stories of her people, how they had learned to live with the cycles of the planet, how each creature, each plant had a story. It's a lot like our old legends back on Earth, Marcus reflected. Stories that teach us about where we come from and why we should respect the world around us. Yes, Zara agreed. Stories bind us, teach us. They talked for hours, the conversation weaving through topics of ecology, philosophy, and personal anecdotes. Jake felt a profound connection, not just to Zara but to Verena itself. Finally, as the first hints of dawn began to lighten the sky, they made their way back to camp. The walk back was quiet, each man lost in thought, deeply moved by the night's experiences. Upon returning, Jake turned to Zara. "Thank you for showing us your world this way. It's more than I could have hoped for." Zara smiled. "There is much to share, much to learn. I am glad you see the beauty of Verena." As she left them at the camp, Jake and Marcus settled in for a few hours of sleep before the new day. But sleep was slow to come as both men lay awake, minds racing with the sights and sounds of a Virenian night and the deep, enduring wisdom Zara had imparted. "That was incredible," Marcus finally said, his voice low in the quiet of the early morning. "Yeah," Jake agreed, a sense of awe still in his voice. "It really was." As they drifted off to sleep, the promise of more discoveries loomed on the horizon, the adventure deepening with each passing day on Verena. After their nocturnal expedition, Jake and Marcus were invigorated, eager to delve even deeper into the secrets of Verena. They were joined once again by Zara, who seemed equally pleased with their growing interest and respect for her world. "Today, I'll show you the gathering place of my people," Zara announced as they prepared to leave camp. "It's where we come together to share knowledge, settle matters, and celebrate." "That sounds like something we shouldn't miss," Jake replied, securing his pack. "Lead the way, Zara." The journey took them through a part of the forest they hadn't yet explored. The path was less rugged, almost as if it was frequently used. The air was vibrant with the sound of distant waterfalls and the sweet scent of exotic flowers. As they walked, Marcus looked over to Zara. "Is this path often traveled?" "Yes, it leads to the heart of our community. It's safe and well-trodden," Zara explained. "You will see how we live, not just survive." The path opened up to reveal a large clearing surrounded by towering trees. In the center, there was a circular area filled with stones arranged around a central fire pit. Around the edges of the clearing were various structures that appeared to be made of natural materials, perfectly blending into the environment. "This is incredible," Marcus said, taking in the scene. "It's so integrated with the surroundings." Zara smiled. "We build with nature, not against it. Come, they are expecting us." They were greeted by several of Zara's people, all varying in height and color but similar in their athletic build and graceful movements. They welcomed Jake and Marcus with a warmth that eased any remaining apprehension. One of the elders, a tall figure with deep green skin, stepped forward. "We are honored to have visitors who seek to learn, not claim." Jake nodded his appreciation. "We are grateful for your welcome. We come in friendship and curiosity." The elder gestured for them to sit by the fire pit. "Today, we share in the feast of learning. It is a time when we exchange knowledge." As they sat, different members of the tribe came forward, each sharing something unique about their culture, crafts, tools, even musical instruments. Jake and Marcus were encouraged to try their hand at using a Virenian tool designed for crafting. Jake, attempting to manipulate the intricate tool, laughed. "I think I need a bit more practice." Zara joined in his laughter. "It takes time to master." Marcus, meanwhile, was fascinated by the musical instruments. He tried to play a flute-like object, producing a sound that was more amusing than musical. The group erupted in good-natured laughter. As the day progressed, they were treated to performances of Virenian music and dance. The dances were expressive, almost telling stories without words. Jake and Marcus watched, completely captivated. When it was their turn, Jake and Marcus decided to share something of their own. Marcus pulled out a small device and played a piece of classical earth music. The haunting melody of a violin filled the air, and the Virenians listened intently, moved by the unfamiliar sounds. After the music, Jake took the opportunity to talk about Earth's diverse ecosystems, the challenges they faced, and the efforts being made to preserve them. He used a portable projector to show images of Earth's landscapes and wildlife. The Virenians were particularly struck by the pictures of oceans and mountain ranges. "Our world has no seas," Zara explained. Your world is very beautiful. As the sun began to set, the gathering concluded with a communal meal. The food was exotic, full of unfamiliar flavors and textures that Jake and Marcus approached with cautious enthusiasm. Sitting around the fire, eating and sharing stories, Jake felt a profound sense of connection. Today has been extraordinary, he said to Zara as they watched the flames dance. Thank you for sharing your world with us. Zara nodded, her eyes reflecting the firelight. It is good to share, to bridge worlds. You have shown us that not all outsiders are to be feared. As they made their way back to camp under the stars, Jake and Marcus discussed the day's events, both feeling enriched by the experience. They had not only learned about a new culture but had participated in it, an experience that was both humbling and enlightening. Today changed something in me, Marcus confessed as they reached their camp. Jake agreed, feeling the weight and wonder of what they had experienced. Yeah, me too. This is more than just a mission now. It's a journey of understanding. The warmth of the early morning sun spilled over the Virenan landscape as Jake and Marcus prepared for a day unlike any other. Today, they planned to share more about Earth's technological advances, hoping to offer insights Zara could take back to her people. Think they'll be interested in the solar tech presentations? Marcus asked, loading the last of the portable displays into his backpack. I think so, Jake replied, securing his own pack. Zara was pretty intrigued by our energy conservation tech yesterday. It could really benefit their community. As they walked toward the designated meeting spot, Zara was already waiting for them, a curious expression on her face. You bring more learning today? She asked. We do, Marcus said, smiling. We're hoping it might be useful, or at least interesting. Zara nodded, leading them to a new area that was set up for demonstrations. Several members of her tribe were already gathered, murmuring in anticipation. Jake started the session by introducing a compact solar panel system. He explained how it captured the sun's energy, converting it into electricity. This can be used to power anything from lights to tools, without harming the environment, he detailed, showing them the portable unit in action. The Virenans were visibly impressed, discussing among themselves in their fluid language. One of the elders approached, asking through Zara, this captures the sun's power? Can it be made here? We can show you the basic principles, Jake replied. Maybe help you develop something suited to your needs. As the morning progressed, Marcus demonstrated a water purification device. He used a sample from the local river, showing the before and after results. Clean water is critical, and this is one way to ensure it's safe without using chemicals or large infrastructures. The tribe listened intently, with younger members coming forward to examine the device closely. Zara translated their questions, her eyes wide with fascination. As the demonstrations concluded, the atmosphere was charged with excitement and possibilities. Zara pulled Jake and Marcus aside. Your knowledge, it is generous. Why share so much with us? Jake looked at Marcus, then back at Zara. Because learning should be shared. What benefits one can benefit all. We don't just take from Verena. We want to give back too. Zara's gaze softened, a smile playing on her lips. You are different, Jake, Marcus. You give hope that humans can be allies, not threats. Feeling encouraged, Jake suggested a break for lunch, which turned into an impromptu picnic by the river. They shared food from both worlds, the Virenans offering fruits that were both sweet and tangy, while Jake and Marcus shared some preserved earth snacks, which were met with curiosity and laughter. During the meal, Zara grew more contemplative. We learned from you, but I have something to show you as well. Something personal. Curious, Jake and Marcus agreed immediately. After packing up, Zara led them deeper into the forest, to a place they hadn't been before. They arrived at a clearing where the trees opened up to reveal a breathtaking view of a waterfall cascading into a crystal-clear pool. This is where I come to think, to be alone, Zara shared. It's special to me. The place had a palpable sense of peace, the sound of the water like a soothing melody. They sat near the edge, letting the mist cool their faces. It's beautiful, Marcus said, genuinely moved. Jake nodded in agreement, then turned to Zara. Thank you for sharing this with us. As the sun began to set, casting golden light through the trees, Zara spoke of her dreams for her people. her hopes for a future where Verena could maintain its beauty and integrity while still embracing beneficial changes. Your dreams, they're not so different from ours, Jake said, feeling a deep connection to Zara and her aspirations. They stayed at the waterfall until the stars began to peek through the evening sky, talking softly about hopes, dreams, and the universe that housed both their worlds. Walking back in the twilight, Marcus whispered to Jake, "Today it was something else." "Yeah," Jake agreed, his voice soft. "It really was." As they reached the camp, they exchanged a look, a silent agreement that whatever happened, their time on Verena had changed them forever, for the better. The final day of Jake and Marcus's mission on Verena had arrived faster than either of them had anticipated. The sun rose over the lush landscape, casting long shadows and bathing the forest in a soft golden light. They sat outside their camp, sipping a hot drink, reflective and somewhat melancholic about leaving. "Can't believe it's our last day," Marcus said, staring into the forest. "Feels like we just got here." "Yeah," Jake replied, his mind racing with the memories of their time on Verena. "We've learned so much, not just about Verena, but about ourselves too." As they packed their equipment, Zara appeared, her expression bittersweet. "The time for farewells, it seems," she said, her voice steady but tinged with sadness. Jake nodded, handing over a small data drive. "We've loaded this with all the information we've gathered, plus details on the technology we discussed. It's a gift for you and your people." Zara accepted it, her hands lingering over the small device. "Your generosity overwhelms us. We will treasure this knowledge." Marcus looked around, taking in the vibrant colors of the forest one last time. "And we'll take back what we've learned here. Not just samples and data, but the understanding and the friendships." The trio made their way to the gathering place where other members of Zara's tribe had gathered to say goodbye. Each of them approached Jake and Marcus, expressing their gratitude and sharing a few last words. It was a ceremony filled with warmth and mutual respect. One of the elders stepped forward, placing a hand on both Jake's and Marcus's shoulders. "You came as strangers, but you leave as friends. Remember us as we will remember you." "We will," Jake promised, feeling the weight of the moment. Zara then led them back to their landing site. The quiet was filled only by the sounds of the forest and the soft crunch of their steps on the undergrowth. When they reached the spacecraft, Jake turned to Zara. "I hope we meet again, Zara." Zara smiled, nodding. "In this vast universe, paths that cross once may cross again." "Be well, Jake," Marcus. "And you, Zara," Marcus said, clasping her hand. With final waves, Jake and Marcus boarded their spacecraft. They strapped in, each man lost in his thoughts as they prepared for takeoff. As the engines began to hum, Jake glanced out the window to see Zara watching them, a figure strong and serene against the wild backdrop of her world. The spacecraft lifted off, rising above the trees, giving them one last sweeping view of the incredible planet that had been their home for these past weeks. As Verena shrank away beneath them, Marcus let out a long breath. "Do you think we made a difference?" "I think so," Jake replied, eyes still fixed on the receding planet. "At least, I know it made a difference to me." The journey back to Earth was quiet, each man processing the expedition's impact. They had recordings, samples, and data, but more importantly, they carried with them new perspectives and a renewed hope for humanity's place in the cosmos. Back on Earth, as they debriefed their mission, they shared not just their scientific findings but the stories of connection and cultural exchange. Their story resonated widely, reminding everyone that in the vast expanse of space, understanding and cooperation were possible and vital. In his final report, Jake wrote, "Our mission to Verena was not just about exploration. It was a journey of understanding, of learning to see not only with our eyes but with our hearts. We went seeking knowledge, but we returned with much more. We returned with a new sense of our place in the universe." The mission was hailed as a success, not just for its scientific achievements, but for the bridge it built between two very different worlds. For Jake and Marcus, the adventure was over, but the story of their time on Verena would continue to inspire and inform future missions for years to come.